This is an open letter to my pink-skinned friends. A few weeks ago, we heard on the news that Filipino authorities have handed over like 4 or 5 new naval bases or military bases to Uncle Sam's managers. They've just given the new Filipino authority have just handed over, given 5 new military bases to Uncle Sam's managers. And then you dig a little farther and you find out that what they mean by new Filipino authority is a guy named Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. And this gentleman is who's the new president of Filipino. And you dig a little farther, you find out that this new Ferdinand Marcos is the junior of the original Ferdinand Marcos Sr., who was a dictator or elected dictator of Philippines for 30 years ago. He was the elected leader for 30 years. So then you dig a little farther and you understand that the nickname that the Filipino people have given to the junior, Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr., the Bongbong is a nickname that means, in Filipino, that nickname Bongbong means thief and a liar. Then you dig a little deeper and you hear stories that Facebook in specific has been instrumental during the last election of Filipinas. During the last election in Philippines, Facebook has been instrumental in shaping public opinion, i.e. votes. And that's how Mr. Ferdinand Marcos Bongbong Jr. was elected as president. Apparently Facebook has blocked anything negative about this gentleman, about his family, and how, what savages they were, his father was, while he was ruling Filipino for all those years as a dictator. By the way, his father was overthrown by a revolution or something like that. So you understand that Facebook has been very instrumental in helping this gentleman come to power. And then you think to yourself that this whole idea of democracy, who's benefiting from this democracy in Filipino, and is it really organic? Is democracy in Filipino, is it organic? Apparently not, because it has been manipulated by a lot of advertising dollars and a lot of Facebook manipulation of people's thoughts. So it wasn't really organic. It wasn't what the people wanted. It was that the people were persuaded that this is the right choice, persuaded by advertisement and media, social media manipulation, and advertisement buys media manipulation and social media manipulation. And what buys advertisement? Money. And then you think maybe the Filipino people are primitive, backward, they're stupid, they don't understand anything. They should be manipulated. Fuck them. in order to make the right choice. Maybe they should be manipulated in order to force them to make the right choice. But then you look on the other side of the Pacific Ocean and you see that, let's just pick right one out of the hat. I don't mean offense to anybody. It's just a obvious example that many comedians have mentioned the matter as well. So I'm not the first one. I'm not going to be the last one. But let's pick one. Let's say Mr. Lindsey Graham, a senator, a senior senator from a state. I believe he's South Carolina or North Carolina. I'm not sure which one. I might be wrong on both accounts. But the point is, the gentleman is a senator from one of these states of the 50 U.S. states. And you think to yourself, him, Mr. Lindsey Graham, Mr. Mitch McConnell, the leadership of the Republican Party. There are two gentlemen as part of the leadership of the Republican Party, and they're both senators of very long standing. And you think to yourself that, okay, these folks have been chosen organically. It's like it's the will of the people. And have the people been manipulated in these cases as well? Then when you realize that Mr. McConnell from, I believe, Kentucky, he's the senator from one of the poorest states in the United States. So this state has been poor for the past 40, 50 years in the United States, has always been one of the poorest, and has continued to stay with the same senator. Apparently the same senator is fine, even though the people back home haven't been improving for 50 years. And he's not, when in his younger days or now in his older days, Mr. Mitch McConnell is not exactly what you would think of an alpha male, go-getter, an alpha male. What would you expect? This is exactly what you would expect as a senator of a great state, and a go-getter, a real man's man, and his word, his honor, and his honor his words, and he does what he says, and he says what he does, and you don't see that in Mr. McConnell. Or, I mean, Lindsey Graham, would he qualify as an alpha male, as in like a man's man? Not by any stretch of the imagination. The kind of person you would expect to be a U.S. senator. He does what he says, and he says what he does, and man's man, and he does things right. And no, not by any stretch of imagination can Lindsey Graham, esteemed senator from South Carolina, North Carolina, can be considered as a man's man, or as somebody you would expect to be a senator in great standing. But he is. He's been all his career. My point is this. So you would think that how is it that these people keep choosing the same person who, although obvious that is not delivering much to especially the poor and the destitute of their states, and not really alpha males and man's man you would expect in the Senate. And that's when you realize that it's not about that. It's not about man's man. It's not about meaning what you say, saying what you mean. It's not about the will of the people. It's not an organic election of the most trusted individuals. These folks are in their seats, just like Mr. Ferdinand Bong Marcos Jr. They're in their seats because they're spokesmen chosen by wealthy people, by the rich people and rich corporations. Choose these guys as spokesmen. So spokesmen don't really have to be alphas. They don't even have to be betas. They can be, thetas. a spokesman is a spokesman, is a sock puppet, is a hand puppet. In these democracies that the system keep the rich people keep advertising, telling us that this is, democracy is the organic manifestation of the will of the people, and here is a sock puppet you can vote for who actually is my spokesman. I'm a rich guy, I'm a rich corporation, here's a sock puppet who speaks for me, he's my spokesman, but here you go, you can vote for him or not. Anyway, him or his brother who's in the other party, whichever one becomes a representative, they both speak for me. And that's what you see, that corporations have decided, that rich corporations and rich people have decided, specifically in the United States, have decided that they donate equal amount of money to their favorite candidate from each party. So, you elect A or you elect B, either one, they're both my spokesman. I'm a rich individual, rich corporation. I donate enough money to make sure one of these folks is elected. And I'm rest assured because both of them speak with the same language, and both of them speak for me as a rich person, as a wealthy individual or a wealthy corporation. So there is no organic democracy. When advertisement and advertisement means money. When money gets involved, there is no organic democracy. It's a artificial system. It's a very artificial system to, put in office, so the rich can put in office their own spokespeople. Democracy, where money gets involved, it becomes a system in which the rich individuals and corporations can put their own spokespeople in office. End of story. Whether be it in, legacy democracies, which, supposedly, invented the system, all the way from Greece to, Uncle Sam's managers, or whether be it these democracies like Filipino, that Mr. Bong Bong Jr., thief and a liar Jr., goes into the office because he does exactly what the other spokesmen, Uncle Sam's managers, those are also spokesmen for the rich of Uncle Sam. So the rich people in Uncle Sam's land choose a certain spokespeople to be president and senator and representative, and then these spokespeople for the American rich choose certain politician in the shitholes on the other side of the planet to be their spokesperson. So, and this is, proof of it is that the proof of the matter is that 10 years ago, that there wasn't this, China is a threat idea. 10-15 years ago, democracy in Philippines was let go. It's like they can do whatever the fuck they want. We really don't give a fuck. But the moment or the decade that the Uncle Sam's managers decide that no, we do care who's in charge over there, because we want somebody we can, count on to give us more military bases, then they just spend a little money and that's it. Manipulate media and social media, and the votes go the way they want it to go. So the rich and powerful in pink skin societies, through democracy, choose their own spokespeople to put in charge of government in the pink skin societies. And these spokespeople of the rich who are in charge of the government in the pink skin societies choose who should be in charge in the brown and the black and the yellow and the red through democracy, by favoring their specific candidate and putting some money behind that candidate, choose who should be in charge of those shed holes, who should be their spokesman. So Mr. Ferdinand Marco Bongbong Jr. is basically a spokesman for Mr. Lindsey Graham, for example, no offense, and Mr. Lindsey Graham himself is a spokesperson for, let's say, Koch brothers, the rich and powerful corporations and people and families. So he's a spokesman. Ferdinand Marco is a spokesman of a spokesman. What part of this is organic? What part of this system? Now, you know, they keep like to keep saying that, you know, democracy is the best system we got, the best system. You would expect the best system to actually do what it says. That is to be the organic manifestation of the will of the people, which is the basic idea behind democracy. But you see that a spokesman in a shed hole, the person in charge in the shed hole democratically is chosen because he has agreed to be a spokesman for a spokesman in the U.S. Senate, and the spokesman in the U.S. Senate is actually a spokesman for the rich of Uncle Sam's land. So you're thinking, what part of this is exactly organic? What part of it is, you know, what part of it is true? What part of it is, the whole thing is artificial. None of them are really the true spokesmen of the people. None of them are the true representative of people. They're all spokesmen of the rich. And this is where you get the idea that why the rich people and rich corporations advocate for democracy so much. All over media, all these talking heads, everybody everywhere keeps screaming that democracy is the best system we got. Well, for whom? For the rich people, because they kept, by spending just a very small portion of their wealth, they get to choose not the spokesman of their own land, but also they get to choose the spokesman of other lands across planet Earth. So they can actually indirectly control those countries. I mean, Koch brothers, let's for example say the Koch brothers, or you know, other rich families, Walton family in Walmart, and other rich families, rich individuals, Hershey's, Mars's, all these individuals, all these families, all these rich corporations, Apples and Microsofts, and all these rich corporations and rich families get to decide not only who goes into their Senate in Uncle Sam's land, but by their spokesman in their Senate can manipulate and make sure who gets to be in charge in other parts of the world. That's why there's so much. That's why rich people and rich corporations through media and through social media advertise so much for democracy. That's why they keep going. They're right now they're at war in Europe for democracy, because it's the will of the people. Are you kidding me? No, they're at war in Europe because they want to have a system over there in Ukraine in which the Koch brothers Just like they have chosen the who should be the leadership of Filipino, the Koch brothers can want to have be able to choose who should be in the leadership of Ukraine. End of story. It's not that they like democracy because it's the will of people. No, they like democracy because it's the best, the easiest way to manipulate people and get your guy in charge, your spokesperson in charge. That's it. And then once you look up a little farther and you see, okay, so politics, democratic politics is not organic. What else is not organic? Media. There is no question that if there are 100 people get killed in, let's say, for example, right now in the year 2023, if 100 people die in Yemen yesterday or Palestine yesterday through some action or inaction or whatever, 100 people die over there and 100 people die in Ukraine, there is a fact, or 10 people die in Ukraine and 100 people die in Yemen, the 10 people in Ukraine who have died, they get mentioned in the news. But the 100 people who died in Yemen or Sudan or Somalia or Algeria, they don't get mentioned. Or Jordan or Egypt, they don't get mentioned. Or Saudi Arabia chopping heads off criminals every weekend doesn't get mentioned in the news. So you realize that, but for example, you know, the new burger that McDonald's has come up with makes it to news for a week of every news station, public and private, and everyone is, you know, all news organization, you know, give like 10 seconds or 30 seconds time to, you know, mentioning the new burger from Burger King. But not the 100 people who just died in Somalia due to some action or inaction, whatever. It just shows you that that's also not organic. Media is not organic. Okay. We went over social media, is not organic. Facebook shadow bans and private bans and public bans people and stories. We all know that. YouTube unsubscribe subscribers. My YouTube channel has been, you know, every time a few people subscribe, YouTube unsubscribe some of the old subscribers. So it's basically an automatic unsubscription. So like new people subscribe, YouTube doesn't want my numbers to go above a certain level. So YouTube, thank you very much to YouTube. They automatically unsubscribe people from my channel. So it's sort of like, you know, it's manipulated. You know, it's nothing about social media is organic either. That's also being manipulated. It's artificial. From Facebook to YouTube to Twitter. It's suddenly you wake up in the morning and in one day you lose a third of your followers. Oh, just happened. Suddenly a third of people decided a third of your followers decided they don't want to follow you. It's not that. It's just that the system just deletes your followers. And if they want to follow you again, they have to find you again and click on follow again to be able to follow. Or else people have better things to do with their time, so once they're unsubscribed and once they don't follow somebody anymore, they don't remember. They don't have the time or the patience, or they don't remember to, you know, oh, I used to follow this guy, what happened? Let me go follow him again. Nobody remembers. So it's artificial. Media, politics, media, social media, stock market. It's stock market in the free capitalism. Is stock market organic? You would expect that they keep saying that free markets and capitalism is the free markets. you would expect the product of a free market to be very organic, right? It's a free market, so this stock market is, which is an, you know, a shoot of this free market, organic growth from this free market is the stock market. And you're thinking to yourself that should be organic. Should be. It's the definition is the stock market is an organic growth from the free enterprise, free markets. Then you realize that during the pandemic in all over the world, and the United States specifically, that stock market went up. So all the corporations were shut down. Everybody was panicking, but apparently money from somewhere found its way to the stock market to buy enough stocks to prevent a plunge. There is no hope. Hundreds of thousands of people are dying. There is no hope. It didn't seem there was any hope. Hundreds of people are dying. There is panic in the street. Factories have shut down, stores have shut down, everything has shut down, but the stock market goes up. And then during this going up process of apparently money coming from thin air, people with balls of steel apparently put a lot of money, which I don't think it was people with balls of steel. It was the Federal Reserve just gave money to BlackRock to put this money in the stock market to push the prices up. And then the average folks got onto the bandwagon and they put their money in because apparently, you know, stock market going up during, you know, once a century pandemic and shutdown of the whole planet is the normal thing. You know, it's normal for stock market to go up when everything is shut down. So that's not organic. Folks, there is nothing is free, nothing is independent, nothing is organic, not the stock market, not the media, not the social media, not the politics. The rich people have got everybody by the balls. The rich people are controlling our politics in this planet. The rich people are through controlling our politics. The rich people are controlling the cycles of peace and war that we have to go through on this planet. The rich people control the media. The rich people control the social media, and the rich people control the stock markets and economies. And we are just, you know, artificial. We are just living in this artificial environment, which the average man, the common man, doesn't really have any say. So this whole, say, in the matter of where things are going, and proof of it is the number of, you know, homeless people in the United States, the richest country in the world, the biggest economy in the world, has got like 1 million homeless, 600,000 sleeping on the street, and another 1 million to 1.5 million sleeping in their cars. So we got 2 million people, you know, not sleeping on solid ground with a roof over their head. That means that, you know, the whole system is made up, it's artificial, nothing of it is organic. And the funny part about it is that, the interesting part about it is that if all of it is artificial, that we just went over, from politics to media to social media to finance and stock market and economy, is if all of it is being manipulated and none of it is organic and all of it is artificial, then how can you tell right from wrong? how can you tell right from wrong? For example, in the war in Ukraine, if the whole thing, the media are, do as they like and they make up stories or cover stories or uh, exaggerate some stories, cover some stories and cover up other stories. This is the stock market, that is the politics. If that is the case, when everything around us is so much manipulated and nothing seems to be organic, then how can you tell right from wrong? How can you tell the good people from bad people? You can't. No one can. And going and sacrificing your life in an environment in which you cannot tell good from bad, right from wrong, because you know everything is being manipulated around you, it's a non-starter. You can't. You're not risking your life for, the right thing to do. You're risking your life or losing your life for an arbitrary environment that has been artificially put together by media, social media, banking system, finance, and politics. They have put together this artificial environment, and you must be very, naive to think that in this artificial environment you can tell what is real and what is fake and what is right and what is wrong. So in order to go and fight for the right side. Apparently there is no right side. The whole thing is made up by the rich and powerful, by rich people, in order to benefit themselves, to become richer, more influential, more powerful. Nothing in it is organic. Nothing is real in this environment they created for us. Not the will of the people, not what they say in the media, not the stories they cover. Nothing. How can you tell them right from wrong? Who's right and who's wrong? That's why rich people really like democracy, because they can easily manipulate it with the fraction of their wealth. They can easily manipulate democracies. But what they don't like is benevolent dictatorships. This is what rich people really don't like. Benevolent dictatorship. That's why they never mention that there ever could be a benevolent dictatorship. They always the dictators that they can't do business with, they draw as these caricatures of mean dictators. And when there is not a single person like in China, there is a 9-member leadership council at the top, which seemed to me to be very benevolent. None of them actually, leave China. All of them always stay there. They're all intellectuals. They have all done farm work in their youth. So I think the Chinese system is, pretty good. They have these intellectuals who have also in their youth done manual labors, and these people are in charge. And suddenly the media and social media and the talking heads in these democracies, which are, basically represent spokespeople of the rich, keep speaking on their behalf, and they keep advertising the democracies, and they keep demonizing demonizing these dictatorships, even though many of them are benevolent, like China, many of them are benevolent dictatorships. They keep demonizing them because they can't manipulate them. They can't have their own spokesman, their own spokespeople in charge in China, just like they did, you know, suddenly obtained their own spokesperson in Filipino, and the man in charge in Filipino suddenly became the spokesman for Lindsey Graham, who himself is a spokesman for the Koch brothers. So this chain of command is broken in China. They can't have their spokesman in China. They can't have their spokesman in Iran. They can't have their spokesman in Venezuela. They can't have their spokesman in Cuba. Therefore, these countries are bad actors, because we can't have a say who should be in charge there. Therefore, we can't control them. So they're bad. This is where I say that first, this is why rich people and rich corporations so much favor democracies, because democracies are, you can manipulate them easily with just a little money, little in their category. With just a fraction of their wealth, they can manipulate democratic government through advertisement, through manipulation of media and social media. But they can't change, they can't force a benevolent dictator or any kind of dictator. If that dictator doesn't want to do business with them, doesn't want to do what they want him to do, they can't change him, they can't force him, they can't change him, because it's a dictator. But if it's all over the world, if there are democracies, the moment they want they need somebody to, do exactly as they want them to do, they just spend a little money, they put their own guy in charge, and he does exactly as they tell him to do. That's why I think they favor democracies. It's not that they care about the will of the people. It's that they know they can easily manipulate people just by spending a little money. I'm coming slowly but surely. I'm coming around to thinking, don't think democracies are the best that humanity can do. I think benevolent dictatorships, at least in benevolent dictatorships, the rich people don't have the ruler in their back pocket. The ruler is not their spokesperson. In a benevolent dictatorship, or even in any kind of dictatorship, forget about benevolent, in any kind of dictatorship, the ruler is not, the group of leadership is not in the back pocket of the rich people. The rich people don't rule over the rulers. The rulers are not spokespeople of the rich people. The rulers are above rich people. I think if you want any good system, this is a better system, a system in which the rulers are above rich people. So at least somebody can hold the rich accountable. As is, the rich people are above the rulers, because they donate for the ruler to be elected. They spend money for the ruler to be elected. So the ruler, the senator or the president or the representative, is actually their spokesperson, because they're working for them. They bought his seat for him. Yeah, this kind of democracy in which money speaks so loudly, I think a dictatorship is much better. At least somebody will hold the rich accountable. The rulers are above the rich and can hold the rich accountable. No, folks, nothing about these democracies are organic. Nothing about our environment is organic. all artificial.